Hey guys, it's me again. I decided to reach out because I've been thinking, as I do, and I've been thinking about films, specifically the film industry as a whole. See, I've held on to the opinion for a while that movies and the movie industry has kind of been going downhill since around 2010. See, like in the early 2000s, you have several masterpieces, Eon Flux and things of that nature, Robot, Coach Carter. That was like 2005. And like after that, you have other masterpieces in 2010 alone. You have Coach Carter, you have Inception, you have Black Swan, you even have How to Train Your Dragon, masterpiece of animation. Those are all movies from 2010 alone. And after that, though, good movies seemed further and further between. I'm not saying no good movies after 2010. I'm just saying it was harder and harder to find. They weren't just coming out by the dozens. Now they were a rare masterpiece. And that's not to say every good movie before 2010 was great. I'm just saying it wasn't that hard to find. Sixth Sense in the 90s, they was basically showing an idea of creativity with M. Night Shyamalan that you was never see things like that, In movies of that nature where you really are thinking, really contemplating not just the plot of the movie, but what it is, what it could be. You don't think like that for most movies anymore. It seems like after 2010, movies slowly became less class and look into the creativity and mind of the director and creator, but now it's just by the numbers formulaic films that quite frankly are not that original or even good. It's just by the numbers now. That's not to say it's all bad. I'm just saying I've seen it before and it wasn't original when I saw it the first time either. And honestly, there are so many remakes now. Remakes existed before 2010, of course, even way back 90s, 80s, 70s, yes. Except now, all of a sudden, remakes are not something that comes out every once in a while. It seems to be all there is. Everything's a remake now. Where's the original idea for movies? They seem further and further in between. I'm just wondering what happened. It's just like, where's all good movies? Wasn't film supposed to be showing the creativity of the creator? But nope, that's not what I see. Remakes, formulaic films, and plot lines that not only is lacking in creativity, but is expensive pieces of mess. Nothing but remakes and mess. And like, honestly, I've seen some good movies, even Top Gun Maverick. That was really good, However, that was technically a sequel, So here I am wondering, why is it that our best movies is still something not original? When just a few years ago, well, more than a few, but some years ago, it seemed like every time you turned around, you saw something that was not just good, but not seen before. It was new, or as new as you can be in this world. And that is what I miss in film. That is what I miss with movies. Honestly, it seems to me that Hollywood as a whole just stopped pursuing creativity and freedom of films. Masterpiece directors who created films never before seen, now all of a sudden they're gone, and the new wave of production and business in Hollywood is now pushing out films like a factory. And the movies we see now, even though I'm not just talking about superhero movies, because that's just the trend that's going on now, but it's all movies, really, for the most part as a whole, that's just showing very much a factory-like mindset with this formulaic plot line and by the numbers pacing. And so many people have the exact same mindset. You see this movie and you think, oh, that's exactly the same thing as the other movie. Different directors, different years, but somehow these directors seem all to be thinking the same thing. Now, either all of a sudden humanity as a whole started just losing all creativity and only think the same thoughts, or the movie industry has basically contemplatively erased so much creativity and so many directors' freedom that now we are stuck with people who stick to the formula of what they know and what they think will make money. And that's where I think the biggest problem is. See, I feel like once Hollywood found out just how much money you can make with movies, all of a sudden, it seemed like it less about the creativity and more about let's push the numbers up, you know? Like back in the day, you knew you can make money with movies. Everyone knew that. Yes. And honestly, there was very expensive movies, except it seemed like it wasn't broken down to a science. So all of a sudden, you want to make money? Make a good movie. That's the idea. That's what people thought. So that's what people did. And then before that, way back in the day, in the 70s and the 50s and whatnot, all movies was new as a whole, Hollywood. And that era was basically just experimenting of what films could be. We didn't even know what the medium could produce. So all of a sudden, everybody was just trying to push the limits of what was possible to be seen with this camera and film medium. And as the years go by, you see the envelope being pushed further and further, newer and newer things coming out, Star Trek, Star Wars, all these masterpieces that basically showed not just the mind of the creator, but showed how far a creation can be pushed to create something new and marvelous. And then after that, you slowly see that all of a sudden everyone's now just exploring the creativity of the mind. Movies now are not so much just about pushing the medium, but now it's about pushing the idea of what we believe and what we have conceived as normal. So all of a sudden, films are now pushing the envelope of our thoughts, our ideas, our stories. Everything needs to show a peek and preview into the mind of not just the creator, but the heart of what they believe, you know? Truly ripping out your soul and putting you on the screen to see. And that is beautiful. It really is. After that, though, all of a sudden, Hollywood industry started to get an idea of what people could see, what people understood, what people wanted to see. It stopped being such a exploration of a new field. It stopped being an exploration of new ideas and started being, okay, I now have gotten broken it down to a science. I know what people want. I know what's going to make me the most money. Let's do that again and again and again and again. And that's what the industry has seemingly become. yes, movies are supposed to make money, but when money is the foremost thought in your mind when the movie's coming out, I feel like you've already messed up. You're already screwed up. And like now that the industry knows how to make the money, now that the industry knows the bare minimum of what they can do, yet still get people's wallets, it's just like, what's the point of trying something new? It seems to be in their mind, you know? Now they're investing more and more money into the films. And yet it seems to me that despite spending 10 times more money, it's lacking 10 times less creativity. And that is just sad. It is. Like, this is just my opinion, of course, my thoughts. But, like, what happened to our films? Why is it nothing but remakes and lack by the number formulaic films? Because it doesn't seem to be that long ago where I could see something and think, ah, that's amazing. They don't do it like that anymore. I'm constantly feel older than I am because I look at films and I think, oh, we didn't have films like that back in my day. And I'm just like, how long ago was my day? Am I that old? Like, seriously, I grew up in a time of shifting and genres and shifting in technology majorly. I was born in 1998. So, like, raised in the early 2000s, you have so many technologies from the 90s and before then that's now basically the norm. Everyone has that, but it's now slowly being shifted out as the newest technologies from the 2000s, like the iPhones and computers and whatnot, is now slowly coming in. So all of a sudden, I remember the era of VCR, tapes, Blockbuster. I remember all of that. I remember libraries seeing the tapes and taking what you want, needing to rewind the tape. But all of a sudden, DVDs, Blu-ray DVD, HD, everything was coming in and it was new and it was exciting. And that's what I saw growing up. It was just shift in technologies, a shift in genres, a shift in the mindset of what was normal everyday life. Not just with the phones, not just with calling, minutes, all that. It was shifting and changing the right when I was growing up. So as a child, I remember seeing one things, but as I became a teenager, all of a sudden, everything I knew or saw as a child was now gone and I had something brand new. You know? So it's very much a changing era. So, and now I feel here in this time that I'm stuck wondering what happened not just to my era, but what happened to the creativity. I'm left wondering, why is it that the movies and ideas and creativity that I saw by the dozen back in the days seemingly disappearing? And I'm not saying movies are bad now, because they're not. They're really not. It's just, it's a lot more formulaic. It's a lot less exploring and pushing the boundaries. It's a lot less new. And I don't think that it's simply because there's nothing left to explore. There's so many things you can explore. There's always more to discover. It's just, it seems less and less people are trying to discover it. At least less and less people with the Hollywood money. And I feel that's sad. When us as a society and us as filmmakers and creativity people, when we stop being creativity, stop trying to discover something new, then we are lost as not just a society, but as creators and as a people. But this is just my opinion. My thoughts, I might be wrong. I don't think I am. But you let me know what you think. I'll talk to you later. Bye.